Hello and welcome to the Come All You Faithful workshop. I got the sheet music here. It's in the link below. As well, you can get access to all 6 lessons in that link, but here's the first lesson free for you. And just a little bit about formatting. I'm going to play through the full lesson twice, nice and slow, once without embellishments, once with embellishments. Then we'll go over and walk through it one note at a time, so you're not going to get fallen behind here. One note at a time first without the embellishments, and then we'll do the same thing with the embellishments. So that's the structure of the workshop as you'll see in this lesson. And again, the link below for the sheet music and all the lessons. Oh, come all ye faithful. Here's lesson 1, line 1. And I'll do non-embellishments first. So as I told you, but I forgot to tell my fingers. So here we go, non-embellishments. So that's line 1 without embellishments. I know we do have to sneak in the odd grace note, but I'll talk that in detail in a minute. So let's do, here's the embellishment version. So there's line 1 with the embellishments. So let's go through note by note without embellishments. We're starting our introductory note on a D. So we have our pinky down. All the other fingers of the bottom hand are up. Top hand, usually our left hand. Top hand, 3 fingers are down on the top, thumbs down on the back. So there's our D, and we do have to throw in an embellishment here. You can do a doubling, but the simplest thing you could do is just a G grace note. Top finger up and down. So that's our first move. And then we're going to drop down to low A. When we drop down to low A, all the fingers on the bottom hand drop and that pinky finger lifts up. So that's our transition there. So here's what we have so far. And from that low A, we're going to hop right back up to the D. Pinky finger comes down, all the other fingers come up. And if you're following along at home, that's our whole introductory note and first bar. The bar is the distance between 2 of those vertical lines in the sheet music. It might also be called a measure depending on where you're at, but a bar or a measure, that's what I'm referring to. Our E is the first note of the second full bar of music. So D to E, it's a busy transition, lots of fingers on the move here. So our bottom hand, we're going back to that low A position, pinky's up, everything else is down. Top hand, we're lifting up that ring finger, and that's our busy transition up to that E. And then we have a nice easy transition here for you. That E, we're dropping down to low A just by simply dropping down that ring finger. Again, you can do a burl there, but we'll talk about that in the embellishment version a little bit later in the video. So let's play what we got so far, and that's our first full 2 bars of music, plus our introductory D note. So I'll play that again, and I'll move on to the 3rd bar. So let's break that down a bit. We're on that low A at the end of bar 2. And we have to get up to that F. So this time, we're lifting up both of those bottom 2 fingers of the top hand. They both come up at the same time. Bottom hand stays in that low A position. I'll do that again for you. So after we go up to that first F by lifting up those bottom 2 fingers, we drop down 1 finger to the E, and then we lift it up again to play our second F. So let me do that for you, starting from that low A. One more time. And then I played the next two notes. So after we've done our first F, we drop down to the E, we play our second F. Now we're going to lift up that top finger to the high G and then come back to the F by dropping down that finger. So let's do that part, maybe even a touch slower. One more time, and then I'll add on the last two notes of that fourth and final bar in line 1. So after it'll be our third F. We've done our first F, we've gone down to the E, we've gone back to F, we've gone up to the high G, we've gone back to F. That's a longer note. So after that third F, which is a long F, now we drop down the scale to E, drop down the scale to D. And that's the last bar in that line 1. So the first transition there is easy, just drop down one finger. Second transition, that's a busy one. The bottom hand, we're going from the low A position to that D position. Pinky comes down, everything else comes up. The top hand, we just got dropped down that ring finger, but it kind of all happens at once, so we don't get those crossing noises. So let me play for you line 1, nice and slow without embellishments. Other than that one G grace note, we do have to sneak in. And then let's throw a few of those rascally embellishments in there. I won't go through too much detail how to transition from one note to the next. If you need that, you can always review the earlier part of the video, but just to talk about embellishments. Our first embellishment is a D doubling. We're already on a D, so it's a pretty easy one. We're doing 2 grace notes, double, 2. So 2 grace notes make this doubling. First one is a G grace note, top finger of the top hand. Second grace note is an E grace note, bottom finger of the top hand. And we're doing those 2 grace notes separate, but one right after the other. Just like that. So there's our first embellishment. Next embellishment, G grace note down to a low A from the D. So we want to make sure we lift up the top finger, drop down to low A before that top finger comes down. We don't want this sound. That's where we complete the grace note and then we do the note transition. We don't want that, and we don't want the opposite where we transition down and then do the grace note after. We want that note transition to happen when that grace note finger's up. That's kind of the slow motion version, and then the sped up version. So hopefully your ear's catching how that sounds. Now let's I'll play up to the next embellishment, which is an E doubling. So you can hear how it sounds, then we'll break it down. So there's that E doubling from the D. So again, doubling 2 grace notes. We know we got to put in 2 grace notes for this doubling. First one is a G grace note from the D to E. A lot of fingers on the move here, but we still want to make sure that G grace note finger comes up. We do our transition before that finger comes back down again. So there's our first grace note of that doubling. Second grace note is going to be that middle finger up and down. And then our next embellishment is going to be a burl from that E, G grace note burl down to that low A. And if you're finding your fingers a little bit slow on sliding, Maybe your hands are cold like mine. Is it winter where you're at too? Or your hands are just really, really clean and not too slidey. So you can use the burl trick, get a little bit of forehead grease, or behind the ear is another spot, just some natural oils of the skin. And that can help your burl out by getting that pinky to slide better. Because we want, if the hole's here, we want that pinky to slide down past the hole and then come back up. That's the way I do a burl. When it comes back up, sometimes you do a little bend in the finger to make it come back up quicker. Some people think a drawing is 7. If that helps you out, great. I personally don't think of that. I just think sliding down and up. And I kind of initiate that movement, with kind of all that musculature here. I'm not throwing my elbow into it, but it really is the hand helping to push that burl down. So you should feel like this muscle is working. And the burl can be a real tough one to get if you're just like, Alec, I'm just losing all hope with this. You can always do a single tap or a double tap as an option too. So a quick double tap could be acceptable as well, or again, that slide. But here we have a G grace note before the burl, and that G grace note has to happen with the transition. So the G grace note is going to get us down to that low A. But we're going to go into that burl straight away. And if your chanter squeaks like mine, it's just a little bit too much pressure, a little bit too much blowing too hard when that happens. So that's that movement. Again, you could simplify it. You could take out the G grace note if you wanted. If that makes it a bit easier, you could just do the double tap. And the double tap there is almost too slow. I would just suggest a single tap. That to me sounds better than the double tap, but some different options for you. So let me play up to that burl. So this is if you're tracking at home, this is the first 2 full bars of music, plus our pickup note. Here's once more, and I'll add the next bar. So that third bar, we have 2 G grace notes. So our first G grace note, we're coming off of that low A after the burl. So in that case, we want that top finger to lift up first. The other fingers lift up before that top finger comes down. Bottom hand gets a free ride. It doesn't do anything here. And then our next grace note, after we drop down to the E, we need to do another grace note onto that F. So from E to F with a grace note. Now we're lifting up the top finger, the second finger will lift, and the top finger comes down at the end. So let me play those first 3 bars, and then I'll throw that next F doubling on at the end. So that F doubling from the high G, we're going to drop down to the F, and then that top finger does a quick up and down afterwards. So there's our F doubling, and that's the last embellishment of the whole line. So I'll just play through that full line for you with embellishments so you can have a listen to how it sounds. I might do it a couple times for you. And again, each lesson of the workshop will follow this same structure. We'll tackle one line, I'll play through it without, then with embellishments, and then we'll go through it note by note, without, then repeat with embellishments. So you have lots of different options wherever you're at with your piping to make sure you get O Come All Ye Faithful in your piping repertoire for before Christmas. And I didn't say if that was before this Christmas or next Christmas or what, but I'll let you decide, decide that at home. So here's line 1, and again, check out the link below if you need that sheet music. And yes, I'm so excited you're getting some Christmas tunes on the pipes.